Welcome, everybody, to the Between Two Wheels podcast. This is your host, Tyler Janke, and thank you for joining us today. We do cycling commentary from Northern California about the world of cycling, World Tour, Northern California. We're going to hit all of those today. Tour Down Under, Santos Tour Down Under. Men's race is still going. Women's race is concluded. We'll talk about that. So, Northern California racing is getting underway. We'll talk about some Tour de France squads. What? Teams are already announcing that. Froome Doom. Some things that make you go, Some winners and losers. And did Richie Porte finally get his World Tour win? All these things coming up right now. All right, welcome back. This has been a long hiatus, probably the biggest we've had in this show since its inception. I feel like I'm going to die at any moment during this recording of the Asian pneumonia coronavirus or whatever that is. Doesn't that sound like something you'd get from Cinco de Mayo overload? I don't know. Look, I hope you're well. I am a little bit under the weather. This is about as good as it's been this week as far as my voice sounding. I lost it completely. But anyway, we're here. We're going to talk about some stuff. There's a lot going on. I've been watching racing. Santos Tour Down Under. Let's talk about that right away. What is it good for? One thing you'd get to do is see the new team's colors. You get to say who is on what team. That guy's on this team. Who? What? And you get to see if Richie Porte gets a win on Wollonga or any of the others, and if Caleb Ewing gets a win as well. Well, they've both done that. The weather this year has not been as much of a havoc as it's been in years past. They're talking about how it's so much heat and the riders are just having trouble. Not that, as a matter of fact, on the Schwalbe crit that they had, which is called the prologue, they had a little bit of rain. So maybe we'll talk about that, get right down to it. First of all, they had a women's race. They had, 4 stages there. You got some big hitters, Trek team coming in there. You've got the Mitchelton Scott team and then some Euros. And it was interesting. So I watched that. I enjoyed it. It was also fascinating to hear, look, commentary on what we're doing here, or even, cycling, what they've got to do on TV for hours on end. It was Matt Keenan, I think Bridie O'Donnell was there. Someone else was commenting, and they were talking about how there's an Italian in the break, and, it's tough for the women to come to, over from Europe and the States to take on the race. And, when they have bad weather and all the, Australians, New Zealand riders have been able to, it's their summer, so it's easier. But then they realized, Zwift might be one of our sponsors. So they start saying, but maybe the advantage is actually the Americans who are able to do Zwift all the time, and that it's more concentrated. And these girls get out on the road, not just girls, but riders get out on the road and they get distracted with It was humorous. Nice try. I think you still have an advantage of being fit and more fit, actually racing outside and not having to be stuck indoors on Zwift all the time. Hence why you see Caleb Ewing and you see the Australians coming to the fore, and Richie Porte being able to put his stamp like he does every year. And then what else you got? Anyway, the women's race. Let's talk about that. 4 stages, race completely separate from the men. Kudos. I give you a hand clap for that, because I got to just watch you and you alone. And they covered it on GCN on YouTube. It was streamed live there. You can watch the recap. So I was able to get all that in there. And it officially started the Tuesday before the week. Or anyway, it ended on Sunday. So whatever day that started there. And then that's when the men kind of had their crit. And then they started the next day. Australia, they're ahead of us, 20 some hours. It reminds me of a story. I don't even know if we want to get into this, but excuse me. This is my favorite Australia story. So 9/11 happens, towers come down on 9/11, and the very next year, that happened at a very specific time, right? So each time is right around before 6 a.m. Pacific, somewhere around 9 Eastern time. I was working in the market, so I was watching it live on TV at that point. So every part around the world, because there's time zones, it happened at a different time. Australia is ahead of us, so it's tomorrow already there, right? That's what it's enjoying about watching this race is I get to do it finally at prime time. I'm sitting home in the evening, get to put in a race. It's kind of nice, although the tour and stuff is cool when you watch it early and then you go to work and you have your whole day as well. So there's give and take. But I remember the first anniversary of 9/11 made a big deal because Australia was celebrating it. They were, commencing it or whatever, the year anniversary. And our news was all excited because, Australia was the first to do it because they're 20 hours ahead. So they're doing it the day before. I'm like, whoa. 9/11 didn't happen for them on 9/11. It was 9/12 for them. And if they knew about it a day before, shouldn't they have warned us? Okay. The stupidity of the news, though, they were excited about this. And, hey, thanks to Australia out there for, coming around and, mourning the deaths and what have you, but do it on the right day next time. That's just all I've got. Okay, stage 1, some breakaways. They were brought back, and then rallies. Chloe Hoskins stormed with an impressive sprint finish to take the first leader's jersey. She tore it out. I mean, it was from, the women's sprinting is just much different than the men. You don't see the trains setting them up, and then you see the girls hitting the front, and a lot of times when you start seeing them hit the front, you expect them to fade. They're starting at 400 meters out or whatever. A lot of like sitting down sprinting as well, and they don't because there's just no train. So you get the person that can get the burst out there quick. It's exactly what happened with Chloe Hoskins, and for the win. Stage 2, 114 kilometers. There's some intermediate sprints that shook some things out. Mitchelton Scott then took the race head on for the QOM, the Queen of the Mountain, leaving 3 riders, Ruth Wind, and these are the 3 you're going to see for the next few days. Ruth Winder of the United States, riding for Trek. Amanda Spratt, Mitchelton Scott, and her teammate Brown, and then Sunweb's Leanne Lippert, and they're all hanging in with Spratt and Winder. They come over the top, kick it over the finish. Brown, her teammate, Spratt's teammate, gets distance a little bit. The pack's closing in on him, but Spratt ends up winning the sprint narrowly over Widner and Lippert. Impressive for her. She's Australian. I think she's the Australian road race champion. Widner's in the U.S. road race championship stripes. It looked pretty cool. Stage 3 was the Queen stage, had a bit more climbing on it. Spratt holding a slim 4-second lead over Widner and 7 seconds over the German Sunweb rider Lippert. Some intermediate sprints along the way. There's a slight incline. Ruth takes it, and it's time bonus, so she kind of moves up a little bit, a little foreshadowing what's to come. Lippert sealed the QOM jersey on that stage, but it came down to American. Well, there was a rally rider, Ganter, I think, was off the front. American. She got pulled in right near the finish, and it once again came down to Widner and Spratt and Ruth's teammate Taylor Wiles. By the way, we did an interview with her at Tour of California a few years ago. Check that out. Taylor Wiles does a great lead out, and Widner ends up winning that, and ends up with a big enough gap. With Spratt was back in the field, she gets the overall lead at that point. Comes into stage 4, it's more like a crit. Widner and Lippert, I think they were taking some time bonuses because there's some sprint time bonuses along the way. But then a big break gets up the road, and that just nullifies it. So they didn't have to worry about, and the break never got caught again. It was motivated enough, and the teams just weren't big enough, I guess, to really bring that back, which they should have, because there was a good chance that Widner's not in a race like that. She'd already missed out on the time bonuses. They were getting narrowed. That it was going to be maybe those other riders, Widner, Spratt, and Lippert would be able to take the overall, but didn't work out for the teams. An Italian win. Widner wins this Santos Tour Down Under overall, and like I said, she also won on stage 3. So kudos to her. And let's give a little recap now of the men's racing. So men start out the day. They have the Schwalbe. I don't know how they pronounce it different than I would. Crit. It's kind of a short circuit race. Had a little bit of rain going on there. Same course I think that the women had used. And it starts out, Caleb Ewing is right on the back, and he's just, they're lamenting what's he even doing here. He looks like, his teammates are coming up and down, where they're looking for him. In the end, EF Education tries to line the race out, which I think they're doing for Christopher Halverston, and he ends up getting somewhere around 5th place on the day. But what you end up seeing, about 2:50 to go, they're still kind of all lined up and trying to sprint. Caleb Ewing hits the right-hand barrier and just explodes up there, wins by about 6 bike lengths. Not even close. Now, there'd been a wreck a few corners back, so I don't know if Viviani, Sam Bennett, who rides for Quick Step now, if he had some issues, but they weren't really up there in the mix. And you don't have Sagan there this year, so it was a pretty easy win for Caleb Ewing. Easily gets the win, and then, of course, the predictions from then are going to be who is going to challenge Caleb Ewing for any of the sprints. So they have the first stage. Joey Roscoff gets off in the break, American riding for CCC. It's going to be what you're going to see for the rest of the week. He's going for the KOM jersey. He ends up getting it, I think, tied with a Uni SA rider. It's their South Australian university. They get a ride, kind of like our USA cycling team. They always have put a bunch of guys together for that. You get tied, and so there's going to be the count back. Usually goes to the last rider to get the last KOM, but in this case, they say the one that gets the best placing overall on the finish. The other rider ended up getting it over Roskop, but as Roskop the next few days ends up getting up the road to kind of take that jersey back. In the end, you have a pretty cool sprint with DeQuanta Quickstep, and Sam Bennett thrashes everyone else. Jasper Philipsen in second, Eric Baska in third, Elia Viviani in fourth, and you have Caleb all the way down there in seventh. He got really kind of smashed in. It looked like his team kind of left him for dead in a way and didn't really get a chance to help him out. Caleb, that is. So next day, stage 2, a little revenge for that one. That one had a climb up to the finish and then kind of a downhill, last 300-400 meters. And you were looking, okay, so who's going to be there? Well, I expected the sprinters to be kicked out, so I was picking Daryl Impey. It looked like just kind of the prime thing. Look, who comes into shape every year in this race? You don't know. You don't know who's really going to be there. It could be Daryl. Well, it's always Daryl Impey. It's always Richie Port, but you don't know if the other riders are, really taken to the fore. Is Rohan Dennis ready to go? Is Diego Luisi? Who are the ones that are going to take it on the other side? You don't really know until the first big climbing. So this is a little bit of a climb. It popped everyone out except for basically Caleb Ewing. He gets to sit on there. Daryl Impey hits the stride, and in the end, it's not even close. Caleb Ewing gets his win easily over Daryl Impey. Nathan Haas was another one. I had picked a few of these guys. I thought Daryl Impey actually was going to win the stage, and it was came out to be not the case, but it was close. Stage 3, you've got, once again, this one had a pretty good climb up to the finish. Take a right-hand corner, and then it's just kind of an open climb, 6-7 minutes or 5, I don't know, somewhere in that range, but it had some really strong winds. So you're thinking, okay, if little Richie Port hits the front too early, it's going to, they're going to be able to kind of sit on his wheel. Well, Diego Luisi hits the front, and he kind of shreds everything out, and everyone's kind of going haywire. Then Richie Port, about a third of the way up the climb, decides he's going to go for it, and he puts his head down and hammers away. And you had Rowan Dennis, you had Dylan Van Barl trying to chase him back. Two big guys, not really being able to do it. And I don't know, maybe the wind affected them more than anybody else. In the end, though, Richie Port, I thought he was going to get a bunch of time. He only gets 5 seconds, I think. Over Robert Power, Team Sunweb. Simon Yates who had wrecked a few days earlier. He ends up coming strong. Rohan Dennis, Luisi, Daryl Impey, George Bennett, all these guys in the same time. Lucas Hamilton finally 13 seconds back. Roman Bardet, he's kind of had some few wrecks and not look quite as great. Nilsson Powell was looking to do good, and he got 18th place, 23 seconds back. Jai Hindley, a few of these others. Like I said, you just don't know who's going to come good, but who you do expect to come good. The only one you can really predict in this case is a Richie Port, who ends up getting his win for the year, and with that, he should be the one to watch on Wollonga the last day of the race here. Then you had stage 4. This was yesterday. It was a big coming into the finish. All the teams are lining out. They're all across the road. They're trying to get their sprinters teams up there. A few guys are wrecking. George Bennett has a mechanical. I think Docker for EF does a flip over his bike. And finally, you get about 4K. The big teams finally start hitting the front harder, which lines it out, which is much better. Caleb's got a teammate up there for him. He's looking good. DeQuanta Quickstep is leading out Sam Bennett. Elia Viviani for Cofidis this year. He's up there. And Philipsen, some of these, Greipel's finally getting in the mix. Don't really have a team helping him, but he's able to fight himself around. In the end, you have Sam Bennett hits the front. Caleb just blows, it catches up to him. He'd been a few riders back, and then pops across him. He got him by a bike length. It was not close, and then there was a gap between them to Jasper Philipsen, UAE, for 3rd place, and Greipel up there in 4th, and Nizzolo in 7th. I don't even see Halverson in 15th. Do we even see Viviani? Did he go down? I don't know. I don't even see him in the top results here. 25th. So he must have sat up, got ridden off someone's wheel, and in fact, basically didn't have a chance in that. Look, Caleb, 2 wins. You're going to see the next few days. You got Geelong to Victor Harbor. That should be tonight. Tonight being Friday for us. It looks like it's got a little pitch in it in a few spots. You're going to see Joey Roscoff probably going up the road. He's wearing the KOM jersey. He's off on the break again yesterday. So was Piccoli of, I think he's with the Israel Startup Nation. He's the one last year, Canadian, that got basically noticed at the Tour of Utah. Did a great ride there, chasing down Ben Hermans the whole time. And so good for him. And then the last day, McLaren Vale to Wollonga Hill. That is the stage 6. So we expect 2 wins by Caleb, maybe a 3rd win by Caleb tomorrow, and then probably Richie Port on that last one. I'd like to see what Nelson Paulus, our own guy here from Roseville, what he can do on Wollonga. It's 6-minute climb. It's pretty intense. It's should be, it's a unique one because Daryl Impey type can stay in there, but everyone really basically just tries to hang on to Port. Who you did see a few years ago was Mike Woods was one of the guys that was being able to hang around. Well, he's not in the race this year, so maybe Piccoli. He reminds me a lot of Woods as far as his ability at Utah and being able to kind of hang with these guys. So I have no predictions other than Rowan Dennis should be okay. Who knows? If you have an idea, if you want to make a pick, please do so. All right, how about we've got NCNCA. In the NCNCA, we've got coming up here, Northern California. Our big race starting this weekend is Land Park and Cal Aggie, I guess they call it. And with that, it's the 25th of January. And I will see if I can find kind of I don't know if we're going to do much for a preview because what we really don't know once again, same part, first part of the year, we don't really know who's showing up, who's looking good. Our team had do we call it camps? We had a training camp a few weeks ago out by the Russian River, and decent. It was cold, a little bit of rain, and maybe that I got sick right away afterwards. Team camps are interesting. So my wife's like, camp? What are you, a kid? She was mocking me afterwards, and I'm like, hey, some of these guys are calling it camp. She texted my buddy John on our team. Is your husband? She didn't text him. She texted his wife. Is John calling this a team camp? And they're both laughing and mocking it. Well, John on Facebook called it a team camp. So look, it's a guys' weekend where we get out and a bunch of ride. We're not doing like the big full teams, but I did want to do a bunch of riding. We did out kind of where Levi's Grand Fondo is, did that Ridge Road or whatever it is, and a bunch of climbing, bad weather, well, good weather, cold weather, some rain, crap pushed up on your face maybe from the road. Maybe that's why I got sick. I don't know. So I saw Thirsty Bear's been out doing some stuff, Folsom Bike's out doing some stuff. It's just a time to kind of get together and ride and hammer fest. And we did that. And a good hard weekend of riding turned into about 2 weeks off. So I'm being sick. Anyway, Cal Aggie coming up. Cat 5 start at 7:25. Then you get the juniors at 8:10. Cat 3-4 at 8:30. Juniors again at 9:25. Masters 45 at 10 o'clock. I may do that. I'm going to try to double up maybe. The sickness, it's been tough. Cat 4 is at 10:55. Women 3-4-5s at 11:45. Cat 3, 12:30. Masters 35 at 1:30. That is, I think we won that last year with John Novikov, and so we're looking for that again. We won the Cat 3s as well. So Cat 4-5, 2:25. We being a data-driven athlete. Women 1-2-3 at 3:10 and the Pro 1-2-3 at 4:10. It'd be look. Tarun might be there. Folsom Bike. Mike's Bikes. Valair team. A lot of good things that we may have this year. Mike's Bikes look like they just kept loading up. I know that Tyler Pierce, VC, vegan cyclist, I don't know what he's got for his team this year. He released a new episode of his team and how they won by our bat or one of those things and did well. It'll be interesting to see what they have going. I know most of the guys on that team split, so I don't know if they have anything really coming for Spirulina. What do they call it now? Tour de France squads. Ineos and Jumbo Visma have released their 2020 Tour de France squads already, We mentioned Jumbo on a previous one that they had, Kreuzwick, Roglic, Dumoulin already there. Now Ineos is doing the same thing. And look, Bernal, Thomas, they topped the charts, and they're just waiting to see if Froome is going to be the one to maybe cause a dispute to this 3-prong monster attack, or maybe it's a 3-ring circus. Maybe they'll look, if you don't be able to rein this in, it's going to be a movie star part 2. What they've done. So I don't think, Thomas and Bernal didn't seem to have a lot of conflict last year, even though we kind of wanted them to, and it looked like it could be a little issue. Speaking of Froome, though, there was a story out right around Christmas time that Froome was at training camp. He was sent home, and the director's like, look, I don't know if he'll ever recover. He may never be the same. And you're like, holy crap. Is this kind of a vain way of talking about how he, was this a drug thing where you're trying to protect him from being tested, or was he actually injured? Well, it came out that this was actually from Froome actually said, no, that was a camp that I had done like in November or October. I'm on track. So, Froome is really good about laying the line, always have the positive outlook or propaganda, depending on how you want to look at it. So it'll be interesting to see where he's at. I don't know what his first race is. So I'm looking forward to see how he'll do. And he says, hey, I'm all in for the Tour. I don't know who's going to the Giro for them. And look, the point is we may want to have excuse me, we want to have some controversy. We want to see where everything is going with these guys, and I want to see it a little more upfront than now. But the reality is, we're probably gonna have to wait till July to finally get an idea of where Froome is. Although I can't see him going to the Tour without actually having raced a little bit, right? Don't you think? He needs to have done something. Can't just go straight in. How about some things that make you go, Well, look, it's kind of all over in the news lately that Lance and George want you to pay $30,000 for some week-long trip, bike ride with them in Mallorca. That's what they're saying it is. Look, there's people are outraged about it, or but what's interesting is I'm seeing this on all these news websites, CyclingNews, and some other ones are talking about it. And then they're kind of mocking it, but I'm like, you're promoting this. I mean, that's really what you're doing. He's getting free advertising based on you. Why? Because you get clicks for it too. But then you mock it. And I don't remember them having articles about, look, if they called this Gran Fondo, would they mock it as much? I don't know. I mean, Phil can go out and ride with Danielson and his team or something like that. It's fine. All of these big guys, they all go and they ride with Levi in his Gran Fondo, Hincapie in his Gran Fondo. But this one's Lance needs, is this stupid? I don't know. Mallorca sounds like a wonderful place to go ride. Would I pay $30,000 for it? No, I wouldn't. Don't have the money for that. But for these guys, look, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to go do. I don't know that I'd want to go ride with those two guys. So other than that, whatever. That's all I have for that little issue. How about some comments from the mailbag? We had, last one we had was the best and worst of 2019. Had a nice little thumbnail there of Kate Courtney from the Outside Magazine. We had a few comments here, but I'll see. Jason Graffath loves to comment here. Thank you, Jason. One addition to the winners of 2019, the fans. In my opinion, there was consistently high level of racing and suspense pretty much after the Tour Down Under ended. The current youth movement in the pro cycling has been really exciting to watch, and I'm really looking forward to 2020, especially the young Americans. He had also mentioned something else about a winner and it being, we haven't had any since, forever, since Greg LeMond or Lance. And I'm like, well, we had Horner. Horner was a Grand Tour winner. You don't remember him? Look, you can make comments on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, and check us out there. How about some winners or losers? Look, so far, Richie Porte and Caleb Ewing, 2 big winners, and Ruth Widner as well. Look, I love to see the national champion resplendent in the Stars and Stripes winning, and she obviously did that right away. Then you've got Richie Porte and Caleb Ewing doing their winning, as you would expect. Now, look, Richie Porte, I mock a little bit because not everyone's kind of primed. This is like his perfect, everything perfect for him. And then he just dissipated out throughout the year. But you got to give it for Caleb Ewing. There's some decent sprinters here, and he and Sam Bennett are going hustling against each other. You know, Caleb wins Tour de France stages too. So it's not like he just filters all the, goes away for the rest of the year. He's still out there strong. So I'll give him that. How about loser? How about George Preidler testified that he tried blood doping out of curiosity. That's just what it was. So he got busted. I think, was he on AG2R? I'm trying to remember. And he had been released. He was one of those, got mixed up kind of in the Nordic, Austrian, the Nordic skiers. I think there's some issues and some blood. And it's a few riders that got poked with that as well. So he was doing blood doping. And he's like, look, I didn't do anything else, EPO, but I don't know how you believe him, but I was just curious as to what it would do. Well, of course, that's why you're curious as to what it would do. You mean you were curious as to if it would make you better and get you a better contract. And I think that's exactly what happened. Look, voice is going out here. Short episode. We'll just try to post this out. Hopefully we'll get you back into the action, get me back into the action. Like I said, I've been sick. My work schedule has been out of control. I really want to get, we'll go out to the race this weekend, see if I can get some recording out there. See you guys out at the races. And also, love the World Tour stuff coming in. And we also got some interviews lined up. So once again, thanks to everybody. Episode 156, Between Two Wheels podcast. We got a great 2020 lined up for you today, this year. As always, check us out on any of the podcast catchers that you use. Check us out on YouTube. Facebook page as well. You can comment there. Our Twitter handle, wherever podcasts are found and wherever you can find us, we are out there. Thank you for listening as always. Once again, Tyler Janke. Enjoy the Tour Down Under, Wollonga Hill coming up this next weekend, and we'll see you out on the races.